It's another Raw video from your favorite YouTube scout, Draft Raw Authentic. Yes, I am finally here making another video. Like I said, it's a Raw with soul. There will be no edits. I'm sorry, once again, I do have a cold right now, so it may sound a little bit weird. But if you're new to the channel, yes, my name is Draft Raw Authentic, and I'm going over predictions for rookies for the 2018 season. I'm going to be just going over guys that are probably going to be starters or just contributors. So I'm not going to go over every name. And if you know the if you see the title of this video, this is about the wide receiver. So you know what? Without further ado, let's just get into it. Oh, actually, before I really get into it, I will put a link in the description below where I do talk about the receivers that before the draft happened, the receivers that was going into the draft. I will put that link in the description below. It's a long video. I changed up the way I did my videos, so it's the only video that you will see that will be that long. But I think it's a very informative, descriptive video, and it was when I first started. It was my first video I ever made, so you'll see the difference between then and then now. But anyway, let's just get into it. The wide receivers. Calvin Ridley. Let's just start with Calvin Ridley. I think that Calvin Ridley is actually not going to have as great of a season. I'm not his biggest fan, but I don't think that he's a bust or a scrub or anything like that. I think that Calvin Ridley is just going to have an average type of season. I don't see more than 600 yards. I see about 400 to about 600 yards from him. I don't see a bunch of catches. I just see solid, just solid numbers. And when it comes to touchdowns, I think that he's just going to have okay touchdowns, about 3 touchdowns, but nothing great. I think that he's going to be a solid slot receiver. But obviously, guys like Julio Jones, Mohamed Sanu, they're going to be the guys that are going to take the plethora of plays, and Austin Hooper. They're going to take the plethora of plays, passes away from Calvin Ridley. And he's still a rookie, and I know he can route run and stuff like that, but there's still some stuff that he needs to work on as a player into being consistent. But when it comes to Calvin Ridley, I think that he's just, he's just going to have an okay season. Nothing that's going to really, spark him up to like, oh snap, this is the next great wide receiver. Yeah, no, I don't think so. Anyway, let's just keep this going. Courtland Sutton, he has been named the number 3 receiver for the Denver Broncos. I believe the Broncos had picked up somebody else in the draft class. Gosh, I have my book. Bear with me for 1 second. I believe they definitely picked up someone else in the draft class. The other receiver that they grabbed up, where is it? Deshaun Hamilton. I was surprised in a way that Deshaun was not the number 3 receiver or a situation like that, or I don't know. It was just a little weird to me, but Courtland Sutton is my favorite receiver in the draft. Well, I wouldn't say favorite. I think he's probably the best receiver in the draft class, next to another guy who is my favorite, and we're going to definitely get into him. But with Courtland Sutton, this is a situation where I see with Courtland where as a number 3 receiver, I do think he puts up a lot of big numbers. I actually think that he leads I think that he leads receivers in touchdowns. I think that he has definitely double-digit touchdowns. The yards and the catches and stuff like that, I think it's more going to be based off of the decision of, not decision, but what's going to happen with a guy like Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders and what they do. But I think that Courtland definitely has a chance to overtake both of them and being a big-time receiver for the NFL, especially his rookie season. I expect big things from him. I expect about at least 9 and higher, at least 9 to about 13 touchdowns. Yardages, I actually don't expect 1,000 yards. I expect 800, 900 yards. I'm not going to predict catches because to me, the yards and the touchdowns are way more than the valuable catches. Then going a little bit lower, we're going to go with Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk, I think he's going to have a really solid season. I think that he's going to be one of those guys that just like Courtland Sutton, even though he's a starter, I think he's going to be about 800, 900 yards receiving. I do think that he's a guy that's going to have the highest volume of catches of all receivers. And touchdowns, I think he's just going to be right in the middle. I don't think it's going to be too low, but I don't think it's going to be too high. I think he's going to be right in the middle. I think he's just going to have a good, solid year where he can prove that, he can play in this league. And I don't think he's a number 1 receiver, but I do think he's definitely a solid number 2 receiver in this league. Now, we're going to go, the next player we're going to go to is actually DJ Moore. DJ Moore, this is the guy who was my favorite receiver in this draft class. The Carolina Panthers drafted him, and I think that he's the guy that's going to have at least 8 more touchdowns. I'll say 8 to 10 touchdowns. I think that he's definitely going to have about definitely over 1,000 yards. I don't think probably around 1,000 to 1,200 yards. And then when it comes to catches, I think that he's going to be up there at catches just like a Christian Kirk. I think that he's probably going to be the Rookie of the Year. I think that he's just going to explode onto the scene. He's going to have that Odell Beckham type feel of when what was it, like 4 years ago when Odell first came into the league. It's just going to be a lot of big-time plays, a lot of big-time catches, and people are going to be excited in Carolina when it comes to DJ Moore in this 2018 rookie season. Barring that he gets hurt or anything, barring that any of these guys get hurt, I think that he's going to be the best receiver. And like I said, I think he's going to win Rookie of the Year. Now, going a little further, we're going to look at Anthony Miller. I love Anthony Miller. Anthony Miller reminded me of Antonio Brown a lot. And I think that for the Chicago Bears, they chose somebody really, really good that it's one of those situations where you knew he was going to be good, and you're kind of like, the only reason why he went low in the second round, he didn't go low, but he went in the second round was because of his size. But the guy can play in this league, and I think he's going to be a big beast in this league. I think that between DJ Moore, Courtland Sutton, and Anthony Miller, I think they're going to be the top 3 rookie wide receivers. Christian Kirk is going to try to push his name up into there, but I think that those 3 are going to be really, really good. There's actually a 4th guy that I think is going to be a huge surprise for a lot of people and could actually supplant all of these receivers that I'm talking about. And I'm actually going to go to him last. But Anthony Miller, big-time player, is going to do some big-time things. Let's go to Dante Pettis. Dante Pettis is the type of receiver that, I'll just say this. Dante Pettis is a very versatile receiver that can be really, really great in this league. And I think that he has a chance to have the highest scrimmage yards for all receivers. I think that he's going to have more yards than all the receivers in this draft class. He's one of those guys that literally could be the best receiver in this draft class. He does have the chance to be at least the rookie season. He definitely has a chance. But we'll see what happens with him. It's not that I don't like him or nothing like that, but we'll see what happens. I do think he's going to have a really good year, but I just don't think as a receiver, just straight up receiver, he's going to have a great year like some of these other players that I'm naming. Another person, James Washington, I believe he's definitely number 2, number 3 receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers. The situation with him, I think that he's just going to have a really solid year, but I think he's going to have a lot of big plays, like Juju Smith-Schuster had just this past season. I'll say about 500 to about 700 yards, maybe 500 to 600 yards. You know, maybe not a huge volume of catches, but I think probably around like 40 catches with a lot of just big plays where I think that he has a chance to be touchdown heavy just like a Courtland Sutton and a DJ Moore. I think there's going to be a lot of big plays to a guy like James Washington. Now, like I said, I was going to save this one guy for last, and that guy is Equanimeous Brown. I think that Equanimeous could possibly be the highest rated receiver in this draft class. I have been a fan of Brown for a while now, and it was weird that he got drafted in the 6th round. That was weird, especially, you know, me being a Ravens fan, I would have took him over the guys that the Ravens picked at receiver, Jordan Lastly, Jaleel Scott. I would have took him over that, and I don't understand why they didn't go with a guy like Equanimeous, who pretty much had everything. I just want to say, watch out for his brothers when they come into the league, because they're even better than him. But this guy is a really, really good receiver, and he has a chance to be better than both Courtland Sutton and DJ Moore and all of these guys. But it's the situation where he could be low on the depth chart and not make a lot of plays, but he could be high. He could be pretty high on the depth chart and do make a lot of plays. It's one of those situations where, you know, the Green Bay Packers they've never been like too afraid to put young receivers out there like they did with like guys what was the Geronimo Allison and stuff like that. They've never been afraid to do that. So we'll see what happens. But the simple fact is that the Packers do have Randall Cobb and Devontae Adams, and they have Jeff Janis, and they have Geronimo Allison, and now you have Equanimeous Brown. He could be pretty low on the depth chart and not really get as many opportunities, but I would just say this. if all of a sudden something was to happen and he has to be a starter, he will explode in this league. Equanimeous is a really good receiver. Prediction, I don't want to do predicting numbers just because we don't know what's going to happen. But I just hope he does get a lot more opportunities than I think he will get. So, if you like this video, please hit that like button. If you want to see more of me, please subscribe. If you didn't like what I had to say about any of these players, or you think that I missed somebody or whatever, please comment so we can debate, and please share this video so other people can comment and we can all debate and we can build this draft community. Once again, this is Draft Raw Authentic. I thank you for watching. Goodbye.